What's up, YouTube? I'm Charmaine Jamil, and welcome to this week's video, which is just a simple vlog of us hanging out, having brunch, and me sharing some free clothes that I got from Calvin Klein. And the funny thing is, it wasn't sponsored. I'm not even that type of influencer or anything like that. They just happened to give me a refund on something, and my clothes ended up being free. It was by mistake, but oh well, a blessing is a blessing. But this morning I wanted to get up and put on some clothes and just go to brunch this morning, because when they say it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, Atlanta said hold my beer. And it's a beautiful morning this morning. It's not raining, not cloudy, none of that. So I figured, you know what, you should get up and go to brunch. And so that's what I'm gonna do. But I got dressed. Do you see? I got dressed. All right, so let's ride. So I have been wanting to try this new restaurant. Well, it's not new, it's new to me. But I've been wanting to try this restaurant called Bread and Butterfly. I've heard that they have really great brunch. When I see them on Instagram, they have like pancakes like as big as my head. So that is where I wanted to try this morning. I honestly just sat down one day and made a list of all of the restaurants that I want to try, whether it be in Atlanta or in another city that I want to visit. And I'm just kind of like checking them off the list. And of course, I've shared a lot of those restaurants with you in my videos. So today is all about Bread and Butterfly for breakfast. And then, you know, let's just kind of see how that breakfast works out. Let's hang out today. Yes. And y'all see I got my bag. I was thirsty and wanted to carry it. So I was like, you know what? You paid all that money. Carry it, honey. Carry it. Already forming for the restaurant to open. So I'm kind of excited about this. Starting to pack out in here, and the restaurant is not very large to begin with, so it's very like quaint French. You kind of saw it when you walked in, but I am already kind of loving this already. So I think well, I already know what I'm gonna order is the pancakes and I think the salmon toast. So here comes the food. devoured. This was so good. Like, 1,000 out of 10 recommend Bread and Butterfly. All right, so Bread and Butterfly is definitely going to be on rotation. I have to come out here more often because I didn't know that this like little area, look at all of this here, where I could just come out here like during the day. So I am going to add Inman Park to my list of things to do. Really pretty day just to come outside and sit by the pool. I never do that. And the funny thing is, I realize now that I don't really have clothes to just sit by the pool. I have on like jeans right now with this shirt, and I'm like, who wears jeans to sit by the pool? But I don't know. But anyways, I have been like racking my brain about my summer travel. And last year when I went to Yucca Valley, California, that was kind of like a whim. You know, like as I shared, I always go on Wander to see what kind of houses they have and the amenities that they have, and then plan a trip around that house in whatever area it is. So I happened to find that house that I stayed in, Yucca Valley, last year, and then just planned a trip around visiting Yucca Valley, Palm Springs, the Joshua Tree area. That was my first time out that way, and I can tell you I thoroughly enjoyed being out in the desert. I didn't think that I would, but it is literally on my list probably every year, maybe every other year, to actually like just go out there. I don't necessarily have to stay in Yucca Valley, but just Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, that whole area was just really nice and relaxing. And normally I almost kind of feel like, to really feel relaxed, I feel like I always have to be like by a beach. But you know, like being in the desert with the pool and just the whole vibes of the area was just like top notch. So I was actually looking to go back to that area just for some summer travel, because I just kind of let the time slip by me where I missed traveling in May. Because when I went last year, it was in May and the weather was perfect. Like you got just enough cool air in the weather where, you know, like when it reached like the peak temperatures of like the upper 90s, it wasn't like scorching hot how it is now. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should just kind of plan to do it like in September. So that's what I kind of started doing. I actually found this house right here that I went ahead and booked, that I'll be staying in. And I just said, you know what, let me just kind of plan like a multi-city trip, because I feel like if you're just planning to travel across the country, I mean, of course I live in Atlanta, Georgia, so traveling to California is literally on the other coast. But I just feel like if you fly all of that way, then you should kind of try and make it your best to visit other cities and just, you know, like make it a full thing. I love visiting California. Honestly, I don't feel like I need to move there or anything. Like, you know, just visiting is enough for me. But I absolutely love visiting the West Coast. Any city that's on the coast, the Pacific Ocean, that whole area, absolutely at the top of my list. You know, I really wanted to visit Tulum, Mexico, but I'm too scared to go by myself. Like, I need to like get my courage up to go visit by myself, because they had some really nice places to stay in Tulum, Mexico on Wander that were extremely cheap. Like, when I say cheap but really nice, like $74 a night. But the thing about when I was like checking flights, there was only like one flight out of the whole week coming back to Atlanta. And I was like, you know what, if I miss that flight, I'm just like out of luck. And so I don't know, I just don't have enough courage for myself to visit by myself. If someone was going with me, I wouldn't care, but not by myself, because I was like, you know, my Spanish is still at a very low level, and I just, you know, you just gotta really put safety first, because if you watch my Yucca Valley vlog from last year, you'll see I kind of put myself in a situation where I was about to run out of gas and was halfway to the Mexican border. And I just had to make an executive decision and just turn around. But I'll pop that video here just in case you want to like go back and just take a look at it. But as I was planning, I was like, you know what, let me just make this a full trip. So what I decided to do was do a multi-city trip where I go out to Palm Springs. I already kind of showed you the house that I'm going to stay in, and I'm going to do that house for 3 days in Joshua Tree, and just kind of chill and soak up and relax. One thing about visiting that Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley area, you're going out there to relax. It's, you know, not a lot of hustle and bustle. You basically kind of like get your groceries in Palm Springs or like one of the closer cities in between, because once you get out there to Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree, you're kind of set in. So anytime I go out there, I always make sure whatever house that I'm in always has a pool, always has a hot tub. But it's so beautiful out there, and the houses are just absolutely gorgeous. You know, like you really just don't even have a reason to like just to want to get up and just, you know, like go out. So since this is my second time being out there, I really just have plans to just absolutely chill in Joshua Tree. The last time I went, I didn't get to go and hike like the Joshua Tree National Park. So I do plan on doing that this time. But as far as like having to like visit the Palm Springs aerial tramway and do all of that, I did that last time, so I don't really, you know, need all of that this time. And then so I'm going to stay there for 3 days. Then I'm going to go to San Francisco on day 4. Yeah, I think that's how I planned it out. Then I'm going to go to San Francisco on day 4, and it's on my bucket list that I wanted to drive the Highway 1, which they just opened or reopened, where you can like see all of like the beautiful coastline of California. And I felt like, okay, you know, that whole Big Sur, Monterey, Carmel by the Sea, all of that is closer to San Francisco. So that's why I felt that I would fly into San Francisco and then do a day trip to Big Sur and Monterey, Carmel by the Sea. But I just felt like, you know, like when you look on Instagram and social media at everyone's day trips or their itineraries in those different places, I got so overwhelmed because I was like, I don't know if I want to do a day trip, because I'm only in San Francisco for 3 days, and I've been out to San Francisco before, so I don't necessarily have to do like all of the touristy activities, but I do want to kind of capture like some of the main, like I want to do the Golden Gate Bridge again. I want to go to Muir, I think that's how you say it, Muir Woods. So I have like an itinerary of things, and I'll post that right here, of things that I kind of want to capture for San Francisco this time. I plan on going to a San Francisco Giants game, and just doing some activities out there. But I definitely wanted to make sure that I got the whole Big Sur, California, Monterey, and it just felt like it was just going to be overwhelming to try to do a day activity, especially with me doing multi-city, because you gotta rest, you know, like I'm 40 years old, like you gotta build in and plan in some days of rest and recuperation so you can get back out there. And you know, like after I thought about it and was trying to like plan and do an itinerary, because I am an itinerary girl, I was like, you know what, this is too much. It's way too much. And especially with it being like out in September, I figured that I would do Monterey, Big Sur, and Carmel by the Sea for the summer. So looked at some flights, and I actually the funny thing is I paid more for my flight because I am planning on flying into the San Jose International Airport. Technically, Monterey California has its own regional airport that you can fly into. American Airlines actually had well, it wasn't direct. That's why I didn't get it. They had a flight that flew directly into Monterey, but it had the first stop you had to go to Phoenix and then fly into Monterey, and then coming back you had to fly into Dallas and then come back into Atlanta. And I'm not really a big fan of layovers because I just feel like whatever the circumstances of the city, of the weather in the layover, you can get caught up in that, can, like, to me, mess up your whole trip. And I think for those two flights, going and coming back, for me to like land directly in a Monterey, they were like 50-minute layovers. So if that plane came in just a few minutes late or whatever it was, it just didn't give me enough time to where I felt like I could, like, make sure I made the flight into Monterey. So I decided to just pick Delta, which technically it was $200 more. So I really wasn't too happy about that, but I really had to kind of like weigh out the pros and cons of it. Even though I'm flying into San Jose, which is an hour away, so I'm gonna have to, do the rental car drive, but I at least get to drive up Highway 1 up the coast. So that can kind of start out my trip, just doing like a chill drive, which is an hour. Like, hell, it takes about an hour to get up the street, 7 minutes or 7 miles in Atlanta. So I'll be okay with that. And then, but I decided to do a week in Monterey, Big Sur, and Carmel by the Sea. That way I'm not rushed. It almost feels like you probably could do it in like 3 days, but I plan on getting all the footage, like the bridge, everything. Like, I'm going, or at least that's my plan, to go full throttle when I go out there in a couple of weeks. And then that way, when I go to Joshua Tree in September, I don't even have to worry about the whole day trip to Big Sur because I'm already getting that out of the way this summer. So those are my travel plans right now. I'm making my itinerary of everything that I want to do while I'm in Big Sur, because it just feels like it's so much to do, like so many state parks, so many different beaches you can visit, so many different, outlook points and all of this stuff. So, I know it's a week staying in like this little small town, but I feel like as long as I, try to like capture everything I really want to capture, because this has been on my bucket list for a long time. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, when I went out to Santa Barbara, the plan was to drive up to Big Sur and all of that. But when I went to Santa Barbara, it was in November, so it was a little cold, rainy. So the weather's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a totally different vibe. So I'm hoping that the weather, is good while I'm out there, and I can, just kind of catch some footage, some really good footage, but also because I'll be out there a week, that gives me time to kind of like rest. And because I don't plan on driving up to San Francisco this time. I literally fully am staying in that Big Sur, Monterey, Carmel by the Sea area. And there are just some really good videos that people have. So I plan on going to everything. That's why I was like, you know what? Let me sit down for the month of June so I can save my little coins, because I'm going to eat at every place that these people say to eat dinner, to eat breakfast, to get, coffee, that whole kind of thing. But those are my summer plans. Those are my summer travel plans, kind of like fall plans. Because technically I was going to go to Austin. I've been seeing some, and I've been to Austin twice, but both times were for work. So I didn't really get a chance to like do the Austin crawl of restaurants, those type of things. So technically Austin was going to be my summer travel, but I canceled everything, got my money back for my flight, because the house, which was a really beautiful house, but one thing that I don't like about the Wander app is that they don't really give you the reviews of people who actually stay in these homes. And especially if it's a third party, not Wander, that owns the home, they don't really, like, I like Wander because they have a certain standard of how they keep their house, how they maintain their house. But sometimes if it's like a third-party vendor that has like the rentals on Airbnb. Now, I do that. I do go and see if the house is on Airbnb, because you know Airbnb, they will definitely give you all the reviews. And as soon as I found the house, I looked at the review, and I always start at the worst review and read up. And especially how, like if it was a recent stay. And the house, the funny thing is, it was like this huge house, which I didn't mind staying in it. But I was like, you know, why is this house it was like $300 a night. And it was a really nice house until I read the Airbnb reviews. And essentially what they were saying was that there was a lot of stuff that was broke in the house. And I don't know if the house was new or, you know, like every review just always said you had to get like kinks working out. They didn't have hot water at a certain point. And I don't know, but whatever it was, it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I canceled the whole Austin, Texas trip. And I was like, you know what? Let me just look on my bucket list, see what I want to do there. And that's when I kind of settled on Big Sur. And I'm actually staying at 2 different hotels while I'm out there at Big Sur. It's really expensive, that whole area, Monterey, Big Sur, it's really expensive. So that's why I was like, you know what, let me sit down until it's time for me to go on my trip so I can have all of my little coins for that time. But I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to share that YouTube video with you all, so you just stay tuned for that. But I really want to hear where you all are going this summer. What are your travel plans? Where do you plan on visiting? Drop that in the comments so I can put that on my list to see if I want to go there as well. And yeah, kind of go from there. So those are the travel plans. Y'all, when the good luck is flowing, I hope it just like pours, okay? Because let me tell you how I scored some free clothes from Calvin Klein. Now, do I wish it was something like a sponsored video, or, you know, they were sending me clothes and I'm just like coming up as a content creator? I wish, but that is not the case. My luck came a little bit differently. So essentially, I've been on Calvin Klein lately, and I've shared that in some of my style videos where they've just been having a really good sale. And so I recently bought a jean jacket. I bought like a black jersey blazer, and then I also bought this top. So when I got this top here, which is just a nice knit cardigan, like you can kind of wear it like seasonal, as the seasons transition. And I just was like, you know what, this is awesome. So let me go ahead and order some more. And that's exactly what I did. And then I ordered it in black, ordered it in this kind of like greenish color. I also ordered that striped shirt that I had on at Bread and Butterfly. And then I ordered a Calvin Klein sweatshirt. Well, the thing about it is, when I put in my initial order, I only had the black, the green top, as well as like a black t-shirt. My order came out to be like $99. And so I was like, okay, cool. Was waiting on that to come in the mail. And then all of a sudden FedEx said, hey, we don't have your address and we can't deliver it to you. And I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't make sense, because I'm looking at it in my phone, in the app, in the, you know, manage your packages. So I'm like, you all have already matched my address. And I could already see how, you know, the package was moving. And then all of a sudden it got to the FedEx location in Norcross, and they were like, oh, we don't have your address. We can't, you know, mail it to you. So I was trying to kind of give them time to sort it out. But after about 2 weeks, I was like, this package is basically just lost. But what I didn't know is that with FedEx, you as the receiver cannot file a claim for a lost package, only the sender. So I was like, okay, well, let me just call Calvin Klein and see if they can try and reclaim the package and have it, you know, reshipped to me. So when I did that, call customer service, you know, the funny thing is they kind of reminded me, if you know, like if you've returned something to Amazon, they don't ask no questions. They just take it and then they give you your money back. And that's kind of what Calvin Klein did. Instead, they didn't give me my money back. They just said, well, we won't even worry about that package. What we'll do, we'll give you a gift card for $99, and then we'll also add $24 on there so I could select overnight shipping so that I could get it the next day. So when I got, had the money, I was like, okay, this is like $100 and, like $24, $25. I can just really reorder whatever I really want to reorder, because I didn't necessarily have to buy the exact same thing. I was like, you know what, maybe I can look to see what, something is new on sale. So that's when I added in the sweatshirt. I actually had a pair of jeans, but the jeans just didn't work out, so I ended up sending those back. And then after I kind of looked through the website, I was like, okay, no, I still want my knit sweaters. So I went ahead and added that, and then added the black and white striped shirt that you saw me in earlier. So got actually an extra, really pretty much the sweatshirt and the pants. I had to pay a difference of $50, but like I said, I sent the pants back. So I was basically just working within the gift card that they gave me. My package came, no problem. I was happy with the items that I got. And then I just kind of went on about my business. Well, like 2 business days later, I get a message from FedEx, and they're like, well, hey, we got your package, but we're sending it back to the sender. So I guess Calvin Klein must have put in a claim for the order and retracted the package, so it got sent back to them in their warehouse. And I was like, okay, fine, because they had already rectified the situation with me by giving me the gift card with the additional $24 on there. But the thing is, when they retracted the first package, they retracted it as a return. So that technically is where my debit card was attached to that order. So when it got returned to the warehouse, they put it as a return, and they ended up giving me my money back. So what ended up happening was that Calvin Klein gave me a free $100 gift card along with $24, where I was able to get all this stuff, and they gave me my actual money back. And I was like, OMG, let the good times roll. I want this type of favor all 2026, all 2027, all 2028, from here until. That's how I ended up getting these really nice knit sweaters that you'll most likely see in my videos up in the coming weeks, because they're very comfortable, very light, and they just look real classic. So that is my good news of how I got some free clothes from Calvin Klein. Yes, ma'am. But this is the end of the video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Peace.